Hello, everyone, and welcome to Misunderstood podcast, where career roles are simplified and career myths demystified. Happy New Year! Welcome to 2026, an amazing year. I suppose it's going to be for all of us. So, on today's episode, we're going to talk about New Year's plans, New Year's dreams, wishes, and all that. Let's look at how we make New Year plans and what we have been misunderstanding and what we can do better. Because I'm sure everybody's aspiring to perspire, everybody's writing down something. So, yeah, right about now, if you're yet to like, share, and subscribe, please click on the subscribe button now. Share this video to someone who you think it will be of great benefit to. All right, so today on the show with us are three amazing guests, three amazing people, big names. Yeah, like we all say, they're big names. Yeah. So first, let's go. Ladies first. We have Mrs. Florence, Barrister Florence, with us. Yeah, she's a lawyer and also a business person. So yeah, we have her in the house and she'll be helping us talk about New Year plans from her perspective. Also with us, we have Mr. President, who is also a lawyer, Barrister President. I know a lot of us will be thinking about going into new businesses and all. We have people who do that actively and who can advise us. So we have with us Mr. President, Barrister President Kejeh. Finally, we have with us Mr. Felix. Mr. Felix is a HR, what they call it? HR coach or HR personnel. Yeah. So he manages people and also he's a brother in the faith. So he'll be coming in from the faith aspect for our New Year plans. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So let's go into this. Let's do this. First question: New Year, new me. It's something we hear often. There are a lot of people now. You hear New Year, new me. You see posts going around and all that. People making posts. New Year, new life. Yes, that's the like most common one. New Year, new life. New Year, new me. And I'd like to know. There are a lot of plans that go on, and then halfway through something happens, and it doesn't just work out. What do you think people get wrong when they're making these plans, and why do you think they fail at the end of the year or even towards half of the year? So let's start with Barrister Florence.
So much. So the saying "New Year, new me" for me it's just a cliche, right? And I think most people assume that change is supposed to be fast and obvious. On the contrary, it's actually very quiet. And so, New Year, new me. People sometimes expect that there should be a switch that's, just as the clock clicks 12 and then it's a new year, something is supposed to automatically change. But that's not very real because just like I said, real change is quiet and uncomfortable at first. And if something is very uncomfortable, you are not loud about it, you're quiet. You think it through, make sure that it goes through all the channels. You slowly outgrow old patterns. You don't just wake up and you are a new person. Yeah, that's what I think.
Awesome. So, Barrister President, what would you like to say about this New Year, new me?
Absolutely. I totally agree with Barrister Florence. The new year is simply a new day, right? From 31st to 1st. So what could happen possibly overnight? Or is it because we were awake during crossover night? So what could possibly happen overnight? I think it's a myth, and I think it's something people say to get themselves excited and popped up for the new year. However, I think it's also people trying to set new goals, but guess what? They don't change the systems around their lives. So new goals, but old systems. just like new wine in old wine skin. And so it always is bound to burst. It's like a bubble that will burst eventually. So yeah, I think is what it is.
Awesome. Mr. Felix.
I totally agree with Barrister Florence and the Barrister President. As it's a lot of the times people take it that because it's the year that is coming to an end, it's like a new era is being born. And I also think that people focus too much on external changes, like Barrister Florence said. For some people it's a new gym, for some people it's a new planner, some is new energy, but it's still the same mindset. And if you go through, I think it's in Proverbs where it says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So if the mindset has not changed, if the days are changing or we're entering a new month and the mindset remains the same, it just keeps going over the same cycle. Someone might just say like, this year I'll stop procrastinating, but they never address why they procrastinate. So they just feel like, okay, this year I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. You don't look for the root cause. You don't look for what is causing it, and then you see them by the middle of the month, or at most by February, everything comes crashing down, and then they are frustrated again. So I think it lies too much on the external change instead of the mindset change. Yeah. So for me, it's a myth also.
Okay. So that means we will agree that most New Year plans fail due to discipline, lack of clarity. Yeah. And sometimes some people don't even understand what it is they are putting down. So for you, Barrister Florence, will you say it's discipline or the lack of clarity and all that?
So before the discipline, there has to be clarity. Until you are aware of what you want to change, you may not even be able to commit to it. That's discipline. You have to first of all be aware of the behavior. I'm going to use behavior now because for most people it's behavior they want to change. Oh, next year I'm going to be more serious. You get to first of all be aware and understand the person you want to change. Right. So if I want to next year, assuming I commit to say from tomorrow, once the clock strikes 12 today, I'm going to be more honest. And why was I not honest in the first place? Did I ever sit down to understand what made me not be an honest person? And did I address who that person was? Right. That lack of, without clarity, you can't have discipline to commit to anything. Yeah.
Mr. President, what will you say about that?
Yes, I could make a case for discipline over clarity, though, because there are people who are clear on what they need to do, but they lack the discipline to do, the willpower to do it. Yeah, and they will tell you, in fact, when you counsel with them, they will tell you, this is where I'm lagging behind. These are the things I need to change. They literally have self-diagnosed properly, but it's the willpower to go ahead and make those changes. Yeah. But yes, I also agree with the clarity part, because even the Bible says, where there is no vision, if I'm correct, it says the people cast off restraint. That means
Yeah.
there is no discipline where there is no vision. So vision, clarity is important. Clarity of purpose, knowing where you're going to, as direction, bearing is very important, and as well discipline too. So I place them pari passu. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Felix, what do you have to say about that? Clarity, systems, discipline, which of them actually make New Year plans fail?
I think I would tilt to the part of clarity, but there's something much deeper than discipline, because discipline is the willpower to do what you're convinced to do. If you have a conviction as to this is what I want to do, discipline comes in. The conviction is that you've seen clearly what the kind of person you want to become, and the willpower comes in to do it. So I think it's deeper, because a lot of resolution are born out of pressure or shame, not purpose.
Yeah.
So if purpose is clear, if the clarity is there, then the willpower, which is the discipline, now comes into play. So what I would say is that is to first of all understand what it is that we're chasing, or what it is that I want to achieve by the end of this new year that is coming. When clarity is known, then discipline, which is the willpower, comes into play, and then these goals the goals are set, and then the goals are gradually smashed, like we will say. But if clarity it's not there, then willpower, it becomes like you're just going through like a mouse trap where you're running around, you're disciplining yourself to do something, you don't know the end goal of it. So I think clarity, for me, clarity comes first. The purpose comes first, clarity, and then the discipline to get to achieve the purpose. That's it for
Awesome. Okay, so what's one New Year advice that you think is misleading? One New Year advice that you think they always give people once it's a new year, and you think it's misleading, it's taking people away from the actual thing. So, President, let's start with you.
I think the first advice you mentioned, the new year, new me, I think that's a harmful advice, because you don't become a new person upon the dawn of a new day. So that's it. Also, you hear people say things like, or people who try to set new goals, lofty goals, or what I would say, they set wishes as goals, you know. And one of the greatest ways of, sabotaging yourself is setting goals that you can achieve. You now become defeatist by nature, because there's a way you set a small goal, you hit it, you're inspired to do more, right? So you celebrate that small win, then you do more. But when you can't even, that all the goals you set, there's no one you can tick off the paper and say, at least I did this for this year. I was looking at my goals for last year, and my wife and I were looking at it, and I was like, wow, we actually hit everything, because we set smart goals, achievable goals, right? Measurable goals, time-bound goals. So, I think that setting lofty goals, because you think, I don't know whether they think that the year comes with a certain magical power that just makes things possible all of a sudden, right? So I think setting lofty goals, or setting wishes, what you call wishes. If wishes were horses, beggars they say, all right. So people should rather set smart goals, and nothing happens upon the new year except you decide to change.
Okay, so there's this saying that if your dreams do not scare you, then you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Mr. Felix, please help us when it comes to New Year. Don't you think that's why people write down what they actually write down?
You see, I think people need to start understanding what goals are and then setting them, not being pressured, or just because you want to fit in, because everybody is doing one thing, so you want to do something so that you feel among. So if people understand what goals are and the place they are per time in life, it will help them to set smart goals, measurable goals, achievable goals, time-bound goals, because many times this new year, new me, or this new year resolution that comes, the one that is trending that I'm seeing on social media now is cut off people that don't align with where you're going. That one is like almost every year it comes, and we tend to forget that in the journey of life, as the scripture says, iron sharpens iron. The people that in this year they were not, I'll use myself as an instance, the people that they didn't I would say they didn't contribute much to the goals that I set for 2024 in 2025. No, I'm going back to 2024.
Okay.
They didn't contribute much to where I was going as a 2024. In 2025, they were the ones that actually helped me to achieve a lot more than I planned to achieve this year. So if, as we're entering in 2025, I said, these people, they didn't contribute, cut people that don't align, where would I have been in 2025? So many times we need to understand where we're going for time, set the goals that we know that this is in the trajectory of my life, or this is the season where I'm in. And then we look around to the people that we know that they can contribute to where we're going for time. instead of following the trend of this is a new year, if you for those in marketing, if you made 10 million, you have to make 30 million now because it's possible, and then you start pressuring yourself into doing what you're not supposed to do actually. So the advice is that look within, look inward, look outward, see the path that you have been called out for, then see the people that you know that are in this year, though this person did not contribute much for me this year, but I think in this direction I'm going, this person will be a good ally. And then we will see people putting actual goals and then smashing their goals instead of coming with these cliches and the trending words of New Year kind of thing. Thank you.
Speaking of following trend, just like Felix said, yeah, it's funny because I feel like when you set goals for a new year, they should be within the circumference of your purpose, right? So there are people who every year they want to start something new. Last year you wanted to take this course in tech. This year you want to go into the media. Next year you want to. So I think there should be a consistency about your goal setting in line with your overall purpose in life. I was looking at a digital note that I penned down in 2013, right? When I was still in school. And guess what? The goals I put there, I've achieved almost 80% of them, and still some of them are yet unachieved, right? Meaning that I kept on, it was the same thing. If you look at my New Year goals for every year, they are similar. And when I achieve them, I've achieved. So you don't just come up with new things every time. Then there'll be no consistency. So you start something, you drop it, and you just be like a rolling stone. People know you are jack of all trade, master of none. Yeah.
No, I think I'll just come in there a little bit, maybe because from
Okay.
the business angle, actually, it's not bad to be a jack of all trade. The full
Okay.
sentence of that is a jack of all trade, master of none is actually better than master of none. Right. So, yeah, actually. So,
Okay.
I'm saying that because I'll pass for a jack of all trade, and I will, with humility, say I master everything I venture into, and I'm better off than anybody who's just doing one thing. So, yeah. And then one thing I wanted to say is setting new goals for every year for me is, or rather, setting new goals for every January 1st is not a realistic growth pattern. For example, there used to be a time when, for me, um, every January 1st was the new year, but I moved past that. Everybody must start from the point where your drive for setting goals is ambition, and then you grow to the point where it's stability, process, structure that you are looking at. So for me, if you ask me, there is nothing new I've penned down to start from tomorrow. Whatever I wanted to started in February of
Wow.
this year. And so it's going to venture into February. So if I'm going to start looking at something new, it's also not going to be February in the coming year. It's probably going to be around June. And whatever I'm pursuing is not out of ambition. It's something that's pointing me towards structure, rest. And I mean, this doesn't have to apply to everyone. You also have to look at where you are in your life, in your business, in your career, in your purpose, and align yourself and not be led by the pressure of people. Okay, I also want to talk about this whole thing of when it's a new year, you want to cut people off. I think you should do your arts and crafts early before January 1st. If it is necessary. I don't
Yeah.
believe that you should cut people off, but there are people who are not good for your mental health, your spiritual life, for your purpose life. There are people who are not good for you. Not necessarily cutting them off, but you just limit because people are currencies, everybody's important. I don't believe in burning bridges, but you will just have to structure your life in such a way that you don't need to use the scissors. The leaves just fall off and then everything falls into place. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So one of the things that people come up with in the new year is I want to start a business, I want to do this. Yeah. So for you, Barrister Florence, what do you think people underestimate legally and also financially when it comes to starting a business in a new year?
I'll say planning. People just move with the excitement, people move with motivation, and then you I will start from the very basic. When you're motivated to start something, people are not, there's something your brain does. It's the moment you start talking about it, trust me, it's less likely that you'll do that thing, because there's this satisfaction that there's this chemical reaction that happens in your brain when you share an exciting news, something you're working on. It almost gives you a false sense of achievement, that thing has been achieved when it hasn't been. That's one reason why a lot of businesses don't progress, don't proceed immediately. So let's use now as an example. We're looking at the 1st of January tomorrow. You want to start a business. You would have started planning since October. You would have started penning things down. You would have started looking at the financial implications. You would have started looking at the plans for failure, because whoever is planning to start something and you're not looking at the plans for failure. So I will give an example. I want to start palm kernel oil business in January, and all I know I want to do is just to start. What's the plan, right? What are the legal implications for starting? What is it like to start palm kernel business in Nigeria? Have I done my due diligence? Who are my sources? Who will I be getting this palm kernel from? Who are the farm owners? What agreements am I going to have with them? Those things, we overlook them. And as small as having a proper agreement with someone, as is, okay, you are going to be my supplier for palm kernel nuts, and then I will start processing, or whoever your processor is, what is the agreement? Is there something legally binding both of you? Or let me even say, you have an investor, someone has 1 million naira to invest in the business. What agreements did you sign with those people? And then one of the basics is you have to register that business. Of course, we are coming into a new era now where tax is the awareness of the day. You have to make sure that that business is registered as a proper organization, right, that can be able to carry on that business. For example, you don't want to register. I don't think anybody now should register a business that will do up to a certain threshold as a business name. You should be looking at a limited liability company, because one of the major differences people don't understand is it's not enough to register a business, right? A business name is one and the same as you, but a limited liability company is a different entity. When they tax your limited liability, they are not taxing you as a person. So you must know all the details. And I always tell people, get professionals. If you have to start a business, especially in areas where you don't know, get a professional, get a lawyer. A lawyer is always your friend. The lawyer is not your friend when there's trouble, because that time we're trying to salvage whatever mess you have made. But I think
Yeah.
it's cheaper to get a lawyer before there's trouble. It's way cheaper. And then document your purpose, document your plan step by step. I think one of the misconceptions people have about building businesses is that everything will fall in place. No, what you put in place will be in place. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So, Barrister President, let's hear from you legally for
I,
starting
I
a business.
like I like that she said engage professionals. Nigerians have a very bad habit. They don't know how to engage professionals, right? And you don't exactly have to have all the money to engage professionals. Like she said, it's
Mm.
cheaper to, engage a lawyer before problem comes, right? Before you make a mistake, before you sign that agreement. Not only a lawyer, a tax consultant, a finance person, you know, I feel like we need to respect that this person knows this. I don't. Stop depending on ChatGPT, right? I hear some people say some funny things. I respect everybody's craft. I can't assume that I can do okay. What if I'm sick? Why don't I go on ChatGPT and say I feel this some kind of way? What drug should I take? That may be suicidal, right? No matter how you get the point. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So we should learn to leverage on professionals, and you could leverage on relationships that you have with professionals. You don't have to exactly pay. I'm on the board of 2 startups. Guess what? We had an arrangement, right? I was friends with the owners, and what they did was, okay, we don't have money to pay you from the beginning. We're going to give you some shares. So you can leverage on relationships. You don't have to always, you get the point. So you know how at the stage you are, what you need to do. As like she said, if you're going to start a business in January, you should have started planning in fact, September, October, because
Yeah.
the registration period will take time. all the licensing you may need in the industry where you are in. I'm currently working with a startup right now, and the licensing is a lot, right? Data protection, several things that we didn't even contemplate. But if I wasn't there to advise, they would have committed blunders, and the fines would have, would have been much more than the cost to register or seek licensing. So just do the right thing. And also having knowledge of the industry. I'm a fan that if you want to start something, at least serve in that industry a bit, or get somebody who is an expert in that industry and partner with the person. It's a no-brainer. You don't have to go. That's why you see most of our sportsmen, when they retire, you hear that they invested this amount and they lost it, because you've been a footballer all your life. Suddenly you want to go into real estate. What do you know about real estate? What do you know about the financial markets, right? So I believe the best thing to do is leverage on professionals. Learn that there should be a seed period where you sow time to serve in an industry. You may work in a radio station not because you don't have a job, but because you want to own a media house, right? So you may work them for 1 whole year. Okay, then also I'll add this: whatever it is you want to do business-wise, ensure it is scalable, right? So from the onset, ensure scalability. Ask yourself, in the end, right? In the next 10 years, where am I going? Where am I going in the next 15 years, God willing? Where how far can we take this? There's some people's business, if I look at it, it's not scalable. I just look at it like, this guy will burn out one day, right? So you're an MC, right? You're a compare. You're only one person. So let's assume you're fully booked, which is the prayer of every compare. You're fully booked every Saturday, 4 Saturdays. You only have a definite number of Saturdays, or a finite number of Saturdays in a month, 4. Right? So let us say they add Sundays, it's still a finite number, 8 Saturday and Sunday, 8 Sundays and Saturdays in a month. So no matter how much you're charging, you can only make so much. So why don't you think of having like an organization where you gather other MCs so that you can take as many jobs as possible? That's scalability. So ensure whatever it is you're doing is scalable, and I believe that with this point, like what Barrister Florence shared as well, you'll be good.
Awesome. All right. So let's look at something differently. I know we talked about discipline, we talked about clarity, but I think there's a part of it where we don't address identity in going into the new year. So you have behavior patterns you want to change and everything, but like you have a problem with identifying identity. So, Mr. Felix, why do you think people try to change their behavior without addressing the identity?
I think first of all, it's the pressure with their behavior, because the thing is, if they understand that behavior is a fruit, then they will know how to actually deal with it. Because many times people see it's like what we say. When we talk about that, to the extreme, when they say that your sins have been forgiven, and then people start asking the question, but people are still sinning. The thing is that the identity is a root. When you identify with the particular, it says, where your treasure is, that is where your heart will be. The actions that they see is the behavior, and many times people tend to attack behavior, not the identity. So if people would understand that identity or the behavior there's something deeper to this, then they will be able to address what it is. So the idea of looking at what is obvious, or looking at what people are talking about, because many times the behavior, how people get to know about the behavior is when people tell them about what they do, or when they see what they do, not understanding that their thoughts, the intent, the inner man actually itself needs to be addressed, needs to be looked into, and then to understand why this behavior. Take, for example, someone that smokes. The behavior is the smoking. The identity is that what do you think about before you carry that stick of cigarette? What people see, or what even he himself sees, is when he carries a stick of cigarette, he's smoking. I need to stop this thing. I have to stop this thing. But they don't ask the question is, why am I even having this thing? What is this thing actually doing to me? So I believe if people tend to look inwards, if people tend to look at their intents, their thoughts, the thought processes, I think they will be able to address the fruit, which is the behavior. So on another part, I think motivational speakers or people that tend to talk to people, people that tend to do these kind of things that you're addressing people, you're trying to motivate people to behave a particular kind of way. I think if they pay more attention to the identity of who the people are, first of all, that is why many times they tend to say that in the Christian world we tend to whitewash people when we tell them that God does not look at what you're doing. God looks at you as an individual, one who was created. They tend to look at it like it's whitewashing, but that is actually the thing that actually addresses the outward part, what people see. So I think if people begin to read books, people begin to talk about who you are, first of all, it will go a long way in solving the behavioral, I'll call it behavioral crisis, because many times the behavior is lack of identity. Yeah.
So would you agree that New Year, New Me is biblical?
Actually, no. It's biblical actually, because as it is said in a Romans, you see, we do not conform. Romans 8, we do not conform, but we are transformed by the renewing of our mind. By the time the mind is renewed, then you see a new person. But many times people tend to go for the action. People tend to go for, like I said, the fruit, instead of renewing their minds. Even Christians, you see them fighting a particular habit. Imagine a Christian that has a particular kind of habit, and the Christian is bent on dealing with that particular habit, instead of identifying himself that, oh, I am this person, I am in Christ, and being born again, the seed, the incorruptible seed of the word of God abides in me, therefore I sin not. Imagine a scenario where somebody is actually in the process of an act that we'll call a sin, and then the person is saying something. I think there was a testimony to that effect. The man was smoking, and then as he's taking the cigarette, he's saying, listen, the seed of the Lord abides in me, therefore I sin not. He's taking it. One time he saw himself, he couldn't even hold the cigarette again. Now it is actually dealing with the identity. When you deal with the identity, you just see the behavior falls off like a dry leaf. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's look at, Mr. President, what do you think, what's one question you think people should ask themselves before setting goals? One question. So for everyone setting a new goal now, what question do you think they should ask themselves?
I think we alluded to this earlier. Like I said, is the goal achievable? Right? What is the time frame I'm giving myself to achieve this particular goal? Also, what will it cost me? People don't ask that question. What will it cost me? How early do I have to wake up? Right? What do I have to give up? What hobbies do I have to give up? How much of my free time do I have to give up? How many minutes should I pray? Because sometimes the goals may be beyond your human capacity to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So if prayer is your part of your strategy, so how long should I pray? All right. If I'm supposed to go to the gym, how many days of the week am I supposed to go to the gym? So that's the cost, Then you talk of, how do I measure progress? What milestones? What are the milestones, right? For more like KPI. Okay. How do I measure that I'm making progress in the achievement of this particular goal? Then I think also you go back to the main question of purpose. What is the end goal of this goal? I want to have a bank balance of 100 million by end of year. What is the purpose? Why? Else you may smash the goals, but you end up being a menace to society. Right? What they call money misroad, right? So you have to define your goals on time. Let's know why you're doing what you're doing. Have that purpose. before you, and then I attend to all these other things I just mentioned, and I think you'll be fine.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Barrister Florence, what's one thing you think people should stop promising themselves when it comes to January?
That they are going to automatically change. Yeah, you need to stop promising yourself that. As a matter of fact, I feel like people should stop talking about what they want to do and just do it. Yeah, and you don't need January 1st to change. So for me, there are some habits that I have changed that maybe or maybe not, people are now going to realize that, oh, there's something. In fact, I think people already will notice that a lot of people said in a couple of months that have become quieter, right? That you're a bit quiet. And for me, I don't think I have become quieter. But when I actually did like a review of myself in the past quarter, I realized that I was a bit quiet, and I realized that that's because a lot of growth has been happening. And so when a lot of growth is going on, you are not loud. You are just quiet. A growth is not loud, it's quiet. You are you are not all over the place. And if you agree with me, this generation has mistaken growth to be all over the place. And if you're truly growing, you're not all over the place. You'll do it quietly without distraction, because you are sensitive to know that some kind of growth don't like noise, and noise can be a distraction for growth. So I would say be true to yourself and be quiet. Grow, make the change. It becomes obvious, and it doesn't take a lot of time. There are some things, depending on what you want to work on. Sometimes it takes 7 days and you're locked in. For some, it takes 14 days, you're locked in. For some, it takes 21 days, you're locked in. And then, trust me, people may not even notice it then. It may take some people 30, some people 90, some people 60 days to notice that, yeah, this has happened. Sometimes it might take you 120 days to notice that this has happened. So I would say to anybody who is looking at starting something new is be quiet about it and just do it. Most importantly, be accountable. That thing you have said, I'm going to do this, be accountable to someone, to a system, right? To anything. You can create a structure that you want to be accountable to. For me, some accountability I have is my phone. And I set the alarms in such a way that whether you like it or not, until you do it. Okay, so let me just share here that it was like an app that I on my own created. So the app allows me to do small tasks, and until I clock it on the app that I have done it, the alarm doesn't stop. It just keeps going up like that and then that only helped me for a while. And after like I think 14 days, it became a routine. I did not need the alarms anymore. I just know that this is now part of me and I just have to do it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, awesome. So, talking about the app, do you like have to take pictures and put it on the app that, oh, I've done this? Because if you just click, I'm done, and you don't do it.
No, so because of what the task is like, you have to put an extract of what you have done. So for that particular task, I have to put an extract of what I have done, upload it on the app for it to actually see that I have done it. And also, it gets to a point where you have to be true to yourself, because what if you're lying to the app? Who are you doing? You're doing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to put the app out there so that we can pay for it?
So actually, it's not yet, because it's something that is still. I shared it with my IT friend, and we said this is still a work in progress. It's not something we can put into Google Store or Apple Store yet. It's something that is still private, that just one person can use. Who knows? Maybe we can work towards putting it out there for people to use. But it was just one of. Oh, and then building the app came from one of those motivations that just spring up on you. And then, I mean, you can build an app in 1 hour these days. So even if you have no tech experience, yes, so you can do that. And it was one of those things that I did. Yeah.
Okay. So Barrister Florence mentioned something about this generation being everywhere and everywhere online, saying everything that's going on, and then they think it's growth. So, Mr. Felix, what do you think are the dangers of attaching your online presence, your visibility, yes, let's say visibility, to your personal growth or your personal worth as a person?
I think many times people feel like, especially like Barrister Florence said, this generation, they feel like putting things out there is being accountable. Actually, it isn't. When a seed is planted, but when the trunk of the tree comes out, it takes a very long time before the trunk comes out. But in
Yeah.
that period, it is the root is going deeper. Now, growth, like Barrister Flores said, it's silent. It is done in the close. Even before, if you keep a seed without putting it in the ground, but it has sunlight, it has moisture, it takes time before even the stalk comes out of it. So putting it out there, it's actually not accountability. But in the present age where we are, people needs to put out. One thing I would say is that if you're actually tilting towards growth, be silent about it. It's not something it's growth. First of all, is personal. You're not, like, for example, what Barrister Florence has achieved, an app that keeps you accountable to yourself, and it's not out there. If it is that kind of thing where you say, okay, I've done this, even though it's not even in the beta testing stage, you tend to put it out there. Who are you doing? And then it goes out there. People try to use it and they see that, this is a flop. What then happens? So the advice is that growth is silent. Whatever it is that you're doing, achieve it, come out with it, let people see the result, let people see the outcome, or let people see the final. So for example, someone is doing an online program, and then it's until the person finishes it. I think for the circle that I'm in is until the person comes out with a picture of their certificate that we know, so you've been doing this all this one. Maybe that's why we've not been seeing you. Now we understand. Not the one that immediately you got admitted into it, pap, you've shown it, and then you can't finish it. You can't come back to tell people you can't finish it because you've already told them you've started something.
Yeah.
So I think the advice is, growth is silent. Whatever it is, let it be done. Be accountable to yourself. Be true to yourself. Let the result speak to people. You don't have to speak to people. Let your result speak to people. That's the advice that I have on that.
Awesome. So let's look at this. They usually advise that you break down your plans, break them down. So is it possible for someone to pursue financial growth, spiritual growth, emotional growth, everything at once? So this question is for everyone. Is it possible?
Yes, I think it's possible, but you just cannot do it all at the same time. You can achieve all within a space of time. Say in a quarter, you can achieve all this within 1 quarter, but you can't be doing all of them every day. Be able to understand at different times within that defined moments, because first of all you have to define a timeline within which you want to achieve all this. So let's say the first quarter of 2026, I want to attain these levels for all that you have mentioned. I must be able to put in certain structures to say on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays I am praying and studying God's word 3 hours every day. Right, within the same day I'm going to take on a course, and maybe later that day I'm going to read a book, and then sometime the next day I'm going to document, journal, and put down certain things, and then the next day within 1 week I have to go to physical meetings and strategize with people. So yes, you can achieve everything at the same time, but you just have to plan them in such a way that they are structured and your life is not chaotic. Yeah.
Yes, I would say I'll follow what Barrister Flores has said. It's possible, but it's not at equal intensity or aggressively chasing every aspect at the same time. You see, like I said at the beginning, life has seasons. The mistake many people try to do is trying to max out every area simultaneously. No, wisdom knows what is to be prioritized per season. If it is the season of building, like Vice President said, if it's in the season of building your financial goals, you can't carry building your financial goals to put with building your wellness. Wellness comes in, but what is being prioritized at a particular time matters. So simultaneous chasing of everything, it's a no-no. So per season, you prioritize, and prioritization will help in actually knowing what is to be achieved, what is in front of you, and doing that thing that is in front of you. Because at the end of the day, if you're simultaneously chasing all of them, at some point it's either you will burn out, or you just see yourself that you're not meeting the target for each of these aspects of your life. Yeah.
Awesome. Mr. Barrister President.
Okay, absolutely. I believe that you can be all that God wants you to be. Emphasis on all that God wants you to be, because the problem lies when people begin to do things outside the circumference of their purpose. That's when they begin to burn out. I once heard someone say, you will never get a nervous breakdown from doing what God has called you to do. Right? When people want to now be over ambitious, that's when you begin to see them have issues. And I believe that we can have multi functions and be excellent at everything. So I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a lawyer, I'm a HR consultant, I'm a teacher. If I can give you 10 of my fingers, right? But I can function effectively in each of these disciplines. Why? Because, like they rightly said, I am growing in every sense. I believe strongly that the way our human body is, you can't say my ear will not grow, but my eye will grow. We grow as, I don't know if you get the point. Everything grows. So I believe if you pay attention to who you really are, the core of who you really are, and do the things that cause you to grow, everything around you will grow. That's why I tell people that when you think that, I don't need to pray that much because I'm maybe chasing my career. Funny thing is, when your spiritual life starts going down, your career will be affected. You see, everything is intertwined, right? Even your health can be attacked. So, in fact, there are times when you're praying and you get a word that says, stop eating this particular food, or go on this particular physical routine, or read this book, a secular book I'm talking about now. So it's all intertwined. You can't separate this part of your life from this part of your life. If you grow, and if the core of your being grows, everything about you will grow within the circumference of your purpose. So it's possible for you to be all that God has planned for you to be.
Awesome. So let's close with the final question. So if someone listening wants a new me this new year, what's one thing they should stop ignoring? Barrister Florence?
For me, I'll say accountability. You have to be accountable to someone, you have to be accountable to a system, you have to be accountable to a process, or all of them, one of or all of them. And this whole craze is not just in the new year, new me. You also see it towards the end of the year when everybody wants to seemingly achieve something that they did not plan to achieve since January. Or you see the whole Christmas rush, and you're like, so if you really were true to yourself and accountable to the process that you put in place in January 1st, by the 1st of December, we shouldn't see you running around, right? And I give one example. I said, by the 1st of December, if you are not going to receive rice and oil from the office or wherever, you should have bought yours, right? Your oblate money should have been ready by the 1st of December, right? If you do Christmas clothes, your Christmas clothes should have been ready by 30th of November. You're not pressuring any tailor, anybody by December. And so you just sit back, and there's beauty in not rushing. And that's because you have planned and you are accountable to a process. So yes, if anybody wants to ask one thing they should do in case they are looking at the new year, new me this this year, or in 2026, I'll say be accountable. Yeah, be accountable and set realistic goals, be accountable to it. Be set your goals in such a way that once it's the 30th of, because it's like a cycle, right? Once it's December again, everybody's rushing, and then
Yeah.
you find out that in December you spend all the money you saved. That's usually the case. You've spent all the money you saved for the whole year, and then you start afresh from scratch. You don't always have to start from the scratch every January. Yeah.
Thank you, Barrister President.
Yeah, I totally agree with what she said. Thank you very much, Barrister Florence. But I learned from that one. So you spend all your savings. I feel attacked somehow, even though I didn't spend all. so, so I think I'm going to add here, add gratitude. Stop ignoring gratitude. Be grateful to God for how far He has brought you, and celebrate the small wins. Right? Those small milestones. Celebrate them, and still based on what Florence said, she said that her own goals don't start in January 1st, that since February, right? So I'll also encourage, why don't we have 5-year, 10-year goals? Must it be every year? Do you understand, right? So if you had a 5-year goal, maybe your December activities would have played out differently. Maybe you wouldn't have done dirty December, right? Because in your timeline, there was something you ought to have achieved in December, January. So I think we should give ourselves grace, be grateful for how far we've come, and set longer term goals, especially with your finances and with investments. That's one challenge many people have. You want to make it big, quick. You want to make all the money in 1 year. You now see people being pressured to do the wrong things. It's not necessary, right? Set long-term goals. It can take you 3 years to buy a car. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Stop being performative. Some people are struggling to hit a goal so that they can post about it. It's not necessary. Nobody really cares. Nobody really cares about you, right? You think you're that important. You're really not that important in the larger scheme of things. People are focused on their lives. So yes, you want to japa. You are trying. You can't wait to post a welcome to a new dispensation. It's all right, but take your time, right? It could be a 5-year plan. Don't rush, and stop trying to please anybody. Nobody really cares. People have their own problems. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Felix.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barrister President and Barrister. Obviously, I'm the not barrister amongst the panelists here. So thank you very much. These are hard facts that you guys have mentioned. Like Barrister Florence said, you want to oblate, you should plan to oblate. You should actually plan it. And why do people finish their savings by December and then start? It's a vicious cycle. You save money till December, you burn everything in oblate, and then you come back in January and be complaining that January has 71 days. It doesn't actually work like that.
It's actually 100 days in 2026. Yeah, it's 100.
With this new tax,
cut off everybody that does not help us.
So you see, so my advice, what I would say is that people should do introspection. They should stop ignoring their inner life, their motives, their thought patterns, their spiritual health. You can't keep neglecting the soul and expect lasting change. A healthy inner life produces sustainable outward transformation. The script in Proverbs chapter 4, it says, guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. So you can't keep neglecting the inner man or your soul, and then you expect to see a habit that is able to save you. So my advice, what I would advise people is pay attention to your motives, pay attention to your thought patterns, and give priority to your spiritual health. It will go a long way. Like Vice President said, by the time you discover your purpose in life, every other thing fits in. Every other aspect of your life comes into play, because while you're fulfilling purpose, every other thing aligns. Sorry. So the advice is pay attention to your thoughts, to your motives, the reason why you do things. Like Vice President mentioned, it's not performative. With the life alone is too serious to be living a life of performing, living a performative life where you want to show people that you have arrived. Because
Yeah.
I think it's not showing people that I have arrived that causes people to save all their money, and then in December they oblate and burn it, and then they come back in January. You don't see them again because they are trying to manage the small one that is remaining for the 120 days in January. So people should pay attention to their self. They should pay attention to their motives and pay attention to their spiritual self. This heart, it is from here that the issues of life comes out. So if people pay attention to that, I think, like we say, we'll be all right in 2026.
Last.
Last, last.
I saw a post somewhere saying, you don't dey do oblio. No one ask me for urgent 2K for January. And then in December you go say you want cut me off before I know, because I don't borrow you 2,000 naira.
There's what I saw. The person was saying something about, I mean, those of you that will cut me off, make it be those people where they ask for urgent 2K for January, please cut me off. Because when you oblate finish, I don't save my own. I feel like we'll be all right, last.
Yeah, we will. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you, Barrister Florence. Thank you, Mr. Felix. Thank you, Barrister President. Thank you. It's been an insightful one, from finance to faith to business to legal life and personal life. It's been a whole lot. Thank you so much, guys. Share this video with someone who would learn from it, someone we think should benefit from it. And I think every single thing that has been said in this video will help you have a very fruitful 2026.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to chip in, but somehow I got distracted with work notifications. I wanted to say that there's something that I do, and I think I like to tell everybody that cares to listen that just do it. So, right, like for us right now, the next December money is already going into a savings, right? It's even if it is 10,000 naira you're putting in every week, right? You're already saving for that. And I tell people the trick is, for me, my house, home management, the trick is by the last week of November, everything that is not perishable that will last us till the end of January, we buy and keep in the house. So you see that, I don't know if anybody noticed sometime in next cash and carry, there was traffic all the way to Elekaya, like everybody was, and guess what? When you enter that place, the prices were already like 2 times the normal price, and people were rushing to go and buy it. And I'm like, as a smarter person, even though you have heart enlargements, you already know that you should do your shopping before now. And everybody's shopping, you just hold your hands and watch them. And then, of course, because you already planned for both December and January, when people are crying on Moonga deal, you will just be looking at them and say, the Lord be with you, the Lord bless you. So if you plan like that, you will not really go into all this. Because it's funny now, because everybody now is, trust me, people's salaries are finished. You don't read.
I agree, because actually my boss actually mentioned something when we're planning for closing, and then I prepared payroll, and then I sent to him like, let us pay by 15. He said, you want people to suffer? I say, how? He said he will pay on the 22nd, and he's doing people a favor. And then I just did a survey around, just asked a few staff, like, should we pay you by 15 or should we pay you by 22nd? A lot of them were like, I beg, let it come 22nd so that I'll have something for January. And then I'll be like people don't think like the people don't actually plan for like, you can't sit down and say, okay, I can use November salary to cater for everything in December. December salary and bonus will carry me till February. So a lot of people don't plan actually. So it's a good thing to actually take these advice that Barrister Florence is giving, to actually ensure that everything is settled beforehand.
Yeah, and there should be a place for contentment.
Right.
I mean, what you cannot afford should not entice you. It shouldn't be your business. Why are you buying? So I think I shared on my status one time, James, I'm not sure you saw it, that I walked into a shop and then this guy was sweaty, like arguing over the phone with, of course, his significant other, saying, but I have not said I will not buy you the hair. I will buy you the hair. Even if I don't buy it this Christmas, I will buy it. And I felt so sorry for the guy, because why? this guy is just a sales rep in the shop I came into. And this
Oh.
hair he's talking about is over 500,000. You know,
Whoa.
yes. And he just kept, and because he spoke in a dialect that I understood, I felt really sorry that I even wanted to go and tell the guy, like, if that person will be your wife, I beg, just leave her. No,
Ah.
because honestly, why are you pressuring the guy for a hair that you yourself you cannot afford it? Why are you
And you could probably
pressuring?
take his 3, 4 months, 5 months salary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why are you doing that? So I think contentment for me is a thing. And I feel like if you have certain desires, it should be a motivation for you to work hard. One
Right.
hack I have
Mm.
is there should be a business that sponsors a lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah, there should be
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that if I want to eat afang soup that I normally would not eat, maybe the ones that have giant crabs, and I know that normally what I will eat is the normal one, and I want there should be a source of income that should be able to sponsor that lifestyle. But
Mm.
I think I don't know about here, but I think it's a south problem. There's this mentality that somebody, and obviously it's a man, somebody should do it for me. If I cannot
Mm.
afford it, someone should be able to afford it for me. And then
Yeah.
you see yourself putting yourself and other people under unnecessary pressure. So for me, if I get to talk to maybe a lot of people this year, I would say that oble you want to do in December, right? Save for it or create another source of income legitimately that will give you the money that you will spend that time. So you're not under any financial pressure. Yeah. And then so the funny
That's
thing,
so
it's school fee
lovely.
season. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
yes,
school fee season. And for a lot of
Mm.
people, it's house rent season.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
that I don't think it's wise to put all that. Your house rent should not come in school fees season. It shouldn't come. Just if
Right.
there's a way you can spread out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
there's something I also did 2025 that actually helped me. I joined a group where we pay for food stuff. So we paid then in November, as at no October, everybody had paid their complete monies, but the
Mm.
pickup was in December. It saved me a lot of all this running around to buy food
yeah.
stuff. I had a lot of
Exactly.
things. The only things I got this Christmas were like meats and then drinks for visitors. But every other thing was part of that distribution plan. So I think it will also help people a long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really amazing. Thank you for that. You mentioned something about not having school fees and rent in the same season.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
that's
It's a lot.
smart. That's smart.
It's financial.
That's smart.
Yeah. True.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because like what she did about planning. I feel like when you plan, right, you don't have to suffer or struggle, right?
Yeah.
True.
I was asking my wife because my daughter is starting school January, right?
Uh-huh.
So I told I told my wife I was going to pay. I asked her, can we pay for the whole year?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Because I can. Why? Because I planned for it since she was born.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you understand? So I don't think nothing should be the main things are not emergencies that will make emergencies, right? I
Yeah.
planned for.
Mm.
In fact, I planned till her primary 5 already.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
See.
This is just like you rightly said, putting away small, right?
Yeah.
This is her. We separate our piggy banks. We have different headings. Many of those. Okay, this is this. This
Mm-hmm.
is this. Just put it there, and I don't even pay attention to it. Like it's not my money.
Mm.
Even if I collapse, it's not my money. I don't know if you understand. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're very correct. We like to put ourselves under pressure, and then everything
It's
seems to be an
true.
emergency. It's not an emergency. Your wife is pregnant. You should know that you should prepare for CS. You
Nine
should prepare
months.
for
Yeah.
CS.
Yeah.
Nine
Yeah.
plan.
You understand?
Yes, yeah.
So just in
Yeah.
case, you prepare for CS in case there's CS. If there's no CS, no problem. It's cheaper for
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. Thank you. I really learned a lot.
To actually
Thank you.
point.
This one was still recording, so it's still going to go in.
First, I thought I was overdoing. When I think it was in 2023, I sat down with my wife, and then we started planning. Like, okay, so by by January, the school fees for the kids are all ready, and then there's this contribution that I'm entering. This one is specifically for house rent, and then You know that, okay, by June I'm collecting, and this one is for house rent. It gives you a lot of rest to understand that before the rent expires in September, by August, this contribution money which covers for the rent is there.
Yeah.
By that same August, the monies are ready for it's ready. And the only thing you just got to think about is your maybe your school thinking and all that. And then by December, this foodstuff contribution brings in the heavy liftings for food, and then
Yeah.
you just buy things. You see, many times people take planning for granted. They just look at it like you're just overdoing. But actually, a life, if you don't plan, you if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, like they say, you plan to fail.
You want to fail, yeah.
Think this today's session just gave me clarity in a lot of things that many times I didn't even know that, okay, these were the things you were doing, or these are the things you're supposed to do, pointing you to the right direction and actually showing you that you're in the right direction. I've really learned a lot from this session also, even though we're part of panelists. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
I think I should also add one last thing. Apart from all that pressure, there's also something that I have made peace with. You have no points to prove to anyone. If you see behind all the pressure we put ourselves under, you want to prove a point that you serve, you to you day, you to serve. You don't have to prove a point to anybody that you have money. You don't have to prove a point to anybody that you can afford anything. You just
Right.
have to be yourself. I'm sorry about that. My work started. So you don't have to
Mhm.
prove to anybody that you have arrived. And there is so much comfort in growing steadily without pressure, that when you show up out of ease. And that is one silent attribute of success: lack of pressure. That thing of not having a point to prove is an aura that people can sense. It's an aura that when you walk into a space, anybody can sense. You're not struggling to belong. You know where you are.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with who you are and where you are. And then you just show up, even if it's your cricket 2K, if you don't tell anybody. And you know that thing, that the people you're
No.
trying to, yeah, nobody will know. People don't care. And I think one of the things I realized this year, 2025, for me is people don't care about you. People don't care. Sometimes you can walk into a place and you feel a certain way that, oh, people must think that I am ugly. Oh, people must think that I'm smelling. Or people must think that I am poor. Well, I'll tell you that 90% of the time, people don't even see you. People don't care. So I would say if anybody's looking at succeeding in 2026, don't be under any pressure to impress anybody. Secondly, and my last opinion for today before I join my workspace, I want to say that people should be vocal about their craft. There was one time when we were speaking, I can't remember who made mention of that, but he said, oh, don't put yourself out there too much. But unfortunately, this generation, you have to be out there. So half of the deals I got in 2025 came from WhatsApp, from posting, and sometimes not posting what some people want to see, from posting controversial things. Yes, one of the biggest deals I got in 2025 came from posting controversial things, right? And then, but you must always be grounded, know who you are. But I'll say to anybody who cares to listen, be vocal about your craft. Shame doesn't pay anybody's bills. Shame has never paid any bill. You don't wake up in the morning and say, what people will think about me is what I'm boiling today. What people think I am is the lunch me and my children will have today. Nobody really cares. So I'll say anybody who cares to listen this year, the world is digital. Be vocal about your craft. The loudest person in the room wins always. Yeah.
That's very true. Thank you so much,
Thank
Pastor.
you. Thank you so much. Now, for real, this is a wrap. See you on the next episode, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.